All right, let's turn now to an internal report prepared by the Department of Homeland Security's Inspector General and obtained by NBC News, which counters the statement by DHS Acting Secretary Kevin McAleenan on Friday that news stories of poor conditions for children at border stations were unsubstantiated. Inspectors highlighted intense overcrowding during a May 7th tour of a border station in El Paso, noting only 4 showers available for almost 800 migrants, more than half of whom were being held outside. Inside, the report said a cell meant for a maximum of 35 held 155 adult males with only 1 toilet and sink, with temperatures in the cells reaching more than 80 degrees. Joining us now, the reporter behind this story, national security reporter for NBC News, Julia Ainsley. Julia, good morning. So break this down for us. Where is the conflict in this report from DHS?
Good question. So what happened on Friday was that Acting Secretary Kevin McAleenan said that those reports were unsubstantiated, that we were talking about last week, Willie. He said that those were all through the eyes of lawyers who went into these facilities, and they basically overblew what they saw. But now this report that Jacob and I obtained shows that as early as May 7th, DHS Inspector General, their own watchdog, set off red flags internally that warned about some of these very same conditions that those lawyers found, the same conditions that Kevin McAleenan said were unsubstantiated. In the same sector, that's that El Paso sector of Texas, they saw children who were wearing the same clothes. They saw that overcrowding you mentioned. They even said it got to the point that guards, CBP personnel, started to arm themselves in areas that they would not normally carry guns because they feared riots. That is the point that this was already at months ago. So it also begs the question why DHS made their sole response to this more money. Remember, they kept asking for more money. It finally passed last week, that $4.5 billion for more detention space. But they acted as if that was an emergency that came up very suddenly, when in fact they've known for months that there were problems that could have been avoided. One thing we found is that some of the agents were actually going out with their corporate card or their government credit cards to buy more food because there wasn't enough food. So there are things that could have been put in place to avoid this. And of course, it does counter some of what we've heard from this administration, that no, in fact, these were sanitary conditions and that children were treated well.
Julia, you and Jacob have been reporting so well on so many of these stories at the border, but I think a lot of people conflate some of these stories. So who exactly are we talking about? Which migrants are in these particular facilities that you're reporting on this morning?
Yeah, thanks for doing that, because you're right. This just turns into one thing where we get kind of numb to all of this. Yeah. These are immigrants who are mainly Central Americans who have crossed the border. Many have handed themselves in asking for asylum, but under U.S. law, they have to be held and processed in Customs and Border Protection. And then they are sent off to the custody of ICE if they are a family or a single adult, or Health and Human Services if they're an unaccompanied child. So these are people who aren't supposed to be spending more than 72 hours in these border stations, but instead they're staying there in some cases for weeks because of that increase. Some have argued that instead they should be released after they're processed because it's inhumane to keep them in these conditions for so long.
All right, Julia Ainsley, another day, another big report from you and your team. We'll be reading your reporting at NBCnews.com. Thanks so much, Julia.
Thank you.
Coming up, new polling on how last week's Democratic debate is reshaping now the race for the 2020 nomination. We'll dig into those new numbers next on Morning Joe.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.